The connection of Revelation chapter 7 with its preceding chapter is close and obvious. Instead of going on immediately to describe the opening of the seventh seal, the development of the prophecy pauses to answer the awful question with which the sixth seal concluded: who shall be able to stand? The chapter opens with, and after these things, that is, after 1948, I saw 4 angels standing on the 4 corners of the earth, holding the 4 winds. The apostles saw 4 angels at the 4 corners of the earth, controlling the 4 winds. These winds, the first 4 trumpets, compare Revelation chapter 8 and verse 7 and 8, were not to go forth in destruction against the earth, sea, or trees, until a certain 144,000 had been sealed unto God. It is important, before going any further, to recognize that the 144,000 sealed out of the 12 tribes of Israel are to be taken as referring to Israel after the Spirit, that is, the church, the body of Christ, the saints, and not to literal Jews. The reasons for this are obvious enough. Elsewhere in Revelation, the symbolism of natural Israel is used to describe the saints. The bride, the Lamb's wife, is described also in terms of a city, the holy Jerusalem, upon the gates of which are the names of the 12 tribes of the children of Israel. Revelation chapter 21, verses 9 to 12, and in Revelation chapter 3 and verse 12, the name of my God, which is the seal applied to the 144,000, see chapter 14 and verse 1, is promised to the faithful in Philadelphia, most of whom would clearly be Gentiles. The 144,000 are described as a great multitude which no man could number. These blessed ones are described as coming out of the great tribulation. For then there shall be great tribulation, such as was not since the beginning of the world to this time, no, nor ever shall be. Matthew chapter 24 and verse 21. In the last days, Jesus asserts, for his saints, there will be a special deliverance from tribulation. Immediately after the tribulation of those days shall appear the sign of the Son of Man in heaven, and he shall send his angels, and they shall gather together his elect. Matthew chapter 24, verses 29 to 31. Revelation chapter 8 begins, and when he had opened the 7th seal, I saw the 7 angels which stood before God, and to them were given the 7 trumpets. We must not forget that the 7th seal includes all that happens during the sounding of the trumpets and the pouring out of the vials, and so extends down to the ushering in of the millennium. So the 7th seal includes the 7 trumpets, and the 7 trumpets include the 7 vials. The 7th seal is the last of the sealed judgments, and covers the period from 1948 to the end of the harvest. The silence that followed the breaking of the 7th seal was preparing for what was to follow during the sounding of the trumpets and the pouring out of the vials. The suspense of the half-hour of silence in heaven was intense. But why that half-hour of silence? What did it mean? It was the period of silent preparation for the awful judgments that were to burst forth in the earth under the trumpets and the vials. The run-up to the final tribulation will provoke a praying always that ye may be counted worthy to stand before the Son of Man. Luke chapter 21 and verse 36. Perhaps this intense latter day praying of the faithful is what Revelation chapter 8 and verse 1 refers to in speaking of silence in heaven when the seventh seal was opened, for this is one of Revelation's allusions to the temple service. In the temple, when the incense was offered, the people retired from the court and prostrated themselves in silent prayer.